got stitches in my mouth, and they got to be taken out on the 28th or something. But this video is about everything that is wrong with me that kind of led to these results, which is me failing once again to do whatever I was supposed to do. I'm gonna go ahead and just distrust is probably one of the biggest fucking players in this. Unlike the women I had sex with that decided to trust Blondie, I never trusted him, and a big chunk of that is literally his response at Papa John's, where he said, "I have to make this your fault. You don't understand. He can't have agency in his life. He can't deal with the reality that he got those people killed, so he has to make it my fault." And I'd even argue now he probably sits around smug and is like, "It's his fault now, and I got married, and I got all the things. Look at me, walking around with no consequences." Yes, the church makes sure you don't have consequences. Congratulations. But that's what happens when you don't let people develop agency in their life. And that's the end goal of this church, is to remove all agency from a person, including the church leaders. But the first thing I'm just gonna talk about is ADHD, which I don't believe I had ADHD, but I didn't have it before. I got it after these people poisoned me with enough heavy metal, enough tetralead to give me ADHD. That's what I believe. And I believe that because when I was returned home and I played Breath of the Wild, I kept falling into depression while playing Breath of the Wild, because that's a side effect of ADHD. You don't get the dopamine that you're supposed to get, or the serotonin you're supposed to get, and your brain doesn't recover from things. Note, through this entire scenario, each time I messed up, I could not get over it, which is a ADHD response. That is something that is chemically written into my stupid fucking brain because of what these people did. But once again, they don't have accountability or agency in anything they do. They fuck you up, and then because their church leader can't make a mistake, they tell you it's not a fuck up, it's good for you, and you need to make it good for you. Which, no, thank you. You fucked up my mind. You don't get thanks for that. You get an ass kicking, normally. But unfortunately, there's a bunch of dickheads willing to get themselves killed to make sure that you don't get held to account for your actions. The ADHD was a big part of this, because one of the things that kept happening to me is I couldn't focus or stay concentrated on a single subject. And I had concerns about going to court, which is why I wanted a lawyer, because I literally couldn't stay focused on a singular subject for an extended period. That damaged my self-confidence. As you could imagine, if I had imagine this. Anal Eating Mummy God's like, just go to court and tell them what you did, and then did he actually factor in the fact that they gave me ADHD? I don't think they did. I don't think they're that smart, because they're really stupid people. Okay? They're really stupid people. Alright. I believe had I gone to court with ADHD, nothing would have been done, because I probably would have went on an arbitrary random fucking rant, and then with the mix of borderline personality, which is the second thing these people gave me, I not only would have been incoherent in court, I would have freaked out and started yelling about being assaulted by these people. And I remember Anal Eating Mummy God being like, whatever you do, don't report our narcissistic church leaders, don't do that, and he just gave me a list of things not to do, and I guarantee you, had I gone to court and I had with borderline personality and ADHD, I would have went on a unstable crazy fucking rant. One of the things with ADHD is kind of like motor mouth syndrome, where you just start talking and you don't stop. Okay. that is what would have happened. And I don't even know if Anal Eating Mummy God was smart enough to compensate for that. Probably not. I didn't bother to do a whole bunch of research on ADHD. Just, I'm going to be clear on this. Giving somebody a completely new psychology and then being like, you have to master that psychology and then use it to... You're stupid, dude. You're fucking stupid, and nobody has time for your level of incompetence. Okay. The second part of this is malabsorption. Malabsorption, I didn't think about this, but malabsorption is from these people poisoning me with heavy metals. It causes scarring in the intestinal tract, and you can't absorb shit properly. One of the ways of treating my ADHD is with this stuff called choline. And you need choline to force emotional regulation, which, remember, borderline personality disorder, ADHD. I was extremely emotionally dysregulated the entire time I was making these videos, calling Mary stupid and being generally nasty to everybody on here. Because I was emotionally dysregulated, because of the malabsorption caused from the heavy metal poisoning, which caused emotional dysregulation. The reason I need to take supplements, and I've talked about this before in all my videos, from B12 to lots of magnesium. And magnesium helps with absorption, enabling you to get the vitamins you need to not be freaky and fucking crazy. These people continuously poisoned me with heavy metals, destroying my ability to absorb the nutrition I need to be a functioning, intelligent person. These people love having scar tissue in their intestines and being semi-functional retards that just do what they're told, because they hate agency in their life. Now, malabsorption is probably one of the most serious things, because just like I need choline, I take ashwagandha, B12, I take a whole... Dude, there's literally, like, those are just some of the supplements I take. There's more over there, okay? And also CBD to eliminate whatever the fear toxin that your brain releases that it can't get rid of because you can't absorb it. Fear extinction is caused by CBD. You've heard me talk about this before. Why do I have to take CBD? Because I have malabsorption. My body is functioning subpar. And even these dickheads in this church that are like, I love the feeling of fear and anxiety, it's so exciting. And yet a lot of them are Xanax addicts. They need Xanax because they're fucking lying. I do not care how edgelordy they sound. The heavy metal poisoning recovery and the fact that I am not a doctor that specializes in chelation therapy. A person who specialized in chelation therapy would have been capable of telling me that you don't just do it once, you have to do it multiple times because this shit leaches out of your fat and your bones and it comes from other places, okay? That was an incredibly stupid idea. And this is the thing that bothers me about this entire scenario. When I spoke to Anal Eating Mummy God, regardless of how smart he thinks he is and how smart Blondie pretends to be, I literally called this. Yeah, that's not a joke. I was like, is there more to chelation therapy outside of just chelation therapy? Is there something more complex to it? And he went, no! That was a lie. Okay. The same way he lied about it destroying your teeth. Okay. No, he's not an expert on heavy metal poisoning. No, he's not an expert on any of these things. And yet, because he can do no wrong, we ended up in this stupid situation where his dumbass plan of when I told them you shouldn't be doing these things yourself, they completely fucking ignored me and were like, it's good, it's good, it's gonna sound good on paper, think of how cool you'll be. Think of how stupid you sound, in borderline personality disorder, when Anal Eating Mummy God asked me about borderline personality disorder, and I explained the psychological he was like, you're good because you know when you get it, then you know how the system works, and no. If you are experiencing something, you are not in control of that thing. You are having an experience with it. If a mental disorder has hijacked your mind, you are not in control of your mind. And we're about to talk about being in control of your mind, okay? Because freaking out and screaming and being pissed, all those things, borderline personality disorder. Okay. Hypnosis. One of the biggest factors in this entire thing, regardless of these people admit it or not, is the LSD traumatic hypnosis. I was doing this fucking exercise to communicate with my subconscious mind, and its number one thing for stopping me and interfering and turning up the fear in my brain was hypnosis. Yeah. My subconscious mind no longer trusted itself because of the hypnosis. It didn't know if it was working off of a script or not. It believed that a bunch of stupid shit from Stu, from Blondie, from Anal Eating Mummy God, using constant fucking retarded hypnosis. And this came up once again. I said, do you know the long-term side effects of continuously hypnotizing people? And they treated it like a joke. Like I said, stupid people with power is the most terrifying thing on the planet. And this church is stupid people with power. No, you know what the long-term side effects of that shit is? Is the person's own subconscious mind begins to not trust itself. Because it doesn't actually know what it wants. The only thing it knows is that it's been programmed to do. And it's not programmed the way it's normally supposed to be programmed. So it knows something is wrong. This is not my normal programming structure. Where did this come from? What's going on? How do I deal with this? You might go, Bobby, that sounds like an awful lot like that might damage your self-confidence on a subconscious level, and I agree with you. It would destroy your self-confidence on a subconscious level because your own subconscious doesn't seemingly understand the concept of what's happening to it. It only knows something's happening. It knows it's been programmed, and it doesn't know if that programming is in your best interest or its own best interest for that matter. So it doesn't actually comprehend those things. And I want to talk about my weird subconscious real quick, and it is a weird subconscious because once again, Stu got into multiple arguments with my subconscious and lost. It's not a joke. He lost. When they took me into the fucking building where they commit human sacrifices under it, and the SWAT guys came and rescued my dumbass, everybody else there was all under the LSD and drug hypnosis, whatever the fucking bullshit they had us under. But my subconscious mind kept talking. One of the things that happened was a church member was like, all these human sacrifices, because the SWAT guys had to sign a gag order not to talk about what happened that day. These dudes, the guys at the church were like, they're all church members and they're willing human sacrifices, to which I replied, I'm not a church member. And the guy said, you are a church member. You are a church member. And I said, I'm not a church member. And then the SWAT guy was like, how's he talking? The other ones aren't talking. Yeah, that's because my subconscious is fucking weird. Okay, it's fucking weird. And this dude literally comes over and it was like, you believe in God? And I was like, no. And then he kept asking questions until I agreed with something this church does. And then was like, he agrees with this statement, therefore he is a member. And then he accused me of lying, and you cannot lie in that state. Okay, you cannot lie in that state. And I kept talking, and I remember the SWAT guys like, this guy's weird. And the dude that was like fucking arguing with them was like, that guy's not weird. That guy's, no, I'm weird. I'm weird. And I'm going to talk about how weird I am, because remember I was talking about that Lights of Life event with that other religious group. I now remember being taken into a butcher shop and a dude with a huge rectangular blade coming out and trying to explain to me he was going to sever the arteries in my neck and cut my spinal cord. very quickly and painlessly. I was going to experience no pain and then I would just be dead. To which I told him I felt sad, and he told me I'm not allowed to feel bad. Yeah, that this entire thing had to go over smoothly, and I wasn't allowed to feel bad about my death. Okay. To which I kept feeling bad about my death, explaining that if I'm dead, I can't help my mother. If I'm dead, I can't help my family. If I'm dead, I can't live a life. And I kept explaining why I was sad. So that guy explained to me that the other butcher guy that's supposed to kill people is out of town. And then the dudes that took me to that place began talking to me and quickly realizing my subconscious mind, for whatever reason, has an extreme aversion, I guess you call it self-preservation, to not being dead, which I agree with, by the way. But like I said, one of us has to love me, and it ain't me, so it's definitely my subconscious mind that loves me more than I love me, I'll tell you what. So yes, hypnosis, malabsorption, borderline personality disorder, and above everything else, PTSD, trauma. Having flashbacks from anything from the Belly Girl to... And this is a thing. Gannon called me a liar on YouTube when I brought up the Belly Girl. And part of the deal I had with Anal Eating Mummy God is he said nobody was going to call me a liar. And my sister called me a liar also. So I don't know what's up with that. I remember the rules of Anal Eating Mummy God, but also, like, the police that came here, they tried to give me a therapy card to go get therapy, and my sister stole that too. And once again, Anal Eating Mummy God assured me nobody was going to interfere with what I was doing, but then again, a whole bunch of people this entire time down here had been surreptitiously interfering. From anybody from that guy that was like, you're a bum and a loser and you need to get a job and you need to stop making videos on YouTube about how we're pieces of shit, to people arguing with me on DeviantArt from this church. These people were all interfering in the recovery process, and the deal I had with Anal Eating Mummy God is that wasn't going to happen. But let's be honest, I called that too. I said these people don't have self-control. They're going to interfere. And he went, no, they have to do what I tell them. They have to do what you tell them, or what? Are they under the threat of death? No. But yeah. I think you might go, Bobby, is this complaining? What is this? This is me understanding myself and how, regardless of how badly Blondie wants to go, this is your fault. I don't believe it is, because I didn't do all these things to myself. I didn't. And honestly, if I discovered Choline specifically sooner, I would have recovered way faster, because a big problem I was having was staying focused and staying in a developmental state. A state of emotional regulation. And the first time I heard emotional dysregulation was from the crappy childhood fairy, and I didn't understand. I understood that's what I was experiencing, but just because I knew I was experiencing something doesn't mean I could control the experience I was having. Think of it like having a seizure. There are things you can do to mitigate a seizure. They have dogs that let you know when you have a seizure, so you lay down on the floor and you have a seizure. Laying on the floor stops you from falling and hurting yourself. That helps prevent the seizure, but you are not in control of that seizure. I was not in control of my emotionally dysregulated, unhealthy, mental disorder, fearful, paranoid, all this shit. And then I want to talk about the hypothalamus, and how I know my hypothalamus was afflicted by the cadmium poisoning. I don't have the ability to regulate my body temperature, and that actually happened after I was poisoned with the cadmium from that fucking self-hating black loser. Okay. And if you're a black person in this church, you are a self-hating black loser. That is what you are. You don't get to complain about it. The issue with that, and how do I know this, is when I get really cold, I just shake and shiver nonstop, and the only way for me to actually warm back up is to take a hot bath. That means I'm basically cold-blooded, and the only way I can actually get warm is by physically changing my body temperature. The hypothalamus is a part of that system, and it's also a part of your courage network. That is how I know my hypothalamus is damaged. Thank you.